So we're going to now go to our next speaker, who is Victoria from Colombia. Victoria is going to update us on women's rights and situation and perspectives during a presidential campaign in Colombia. She's an abolitionist, historian, and legal translator, studied an MA in cultural studies, migrated to Ecuador, and currently living in Quito. She is the country contact for Women's Declaration International for Colombia. So thank you so much, Victoria, for coming. And I'm going to hand over to you.
I'll talk about what the transgender activism has achieved lately. The Constitutional Court has enabled the T for referring to sex in the identity documents, and this was such a big news. And well, radical feminists were very outraged because we have very big problems regarding women's rights, such as trafficking in the border. The problem of trafficking in the border of Venezuela is very bad. There are thousands, hundreds of women being trafficked and prostituted in Cucuta. And there are no news talking about it, but the news talk about this transgender achievement. This is the first Colombian with the T of trans in his identity card. Now, this was a decision of the Constitutional Court. This is a woman who mutilated herself, most for sure. In the statistics of employment in Colombia, they are also counting webcam prostitution as legitimate work. And we also have surrogacy in full functioning. We have, because the situation of many poor women, many marginalized women is so bad that this is becoming normalized. Webcam prostitution itself, and surrogacy. And these days, this was inadvertent. They didn't say anything because there was this gang of robbers that used acid, threw acid to people to rob them. And they were trans. No, they were just men dressing up as women and using that to get close to people in the street and throwing acid to rob them. This was something that went and nobody said anything, nobody did the connection, nothing. And well, this is the situation of transgenderism. Also, we see a rise in violence against women in the cultural, or at least the women are speaking out more about this violence that we are living in music bands, in the cultural environment. And we have this, for example, this news is about some guy of a male famous band that gave his girlfriend. It gave an abortion pill without her consent in a juice, and she did indeed abort. She had an abortion she didn't have, and he was acquitted because, well, the justice doesn't work for us. And the same Constitutional Court has even legitimated the prostitution legally in context with sentences that admit as legitimate a work contract with the object of prostitution. You know, but that was for only one case, and that's one sentence that trans activists use to say that sex work is work, and that is legally that is legal, and that we should support it. And well, this is the guy. This is just one example of the violence that musicians and bands and that environment, cultural music, entails for women. This woman there has been more denounces about violence and abuses from musicians. That's a lot to say. This is just to show how normalized violence and prostitution are in Colombia. Well, and then I would like to tell you that radical feminism is a dangerous position in Colombia. We cannot hold it publicly. It's dangerous. On March 8th, radical feminism cannot go out. We are afraid to go out because we are afraid of physical violence. And this is very generalized, but I am really hopeful of younger generations, younger women that are not just swallowing the Kool-Aid. And well, I have this, we are in a presidential campaign now, and this woman is the most possible vice president. She ran as a pre-candidate for the presidency. She is a Black woman, a victim of forced displacement from a very small town in the Cauca. She won the Goldman Award, the Goldman Prize. I understand this is like the Nobel Prize. This is why she became famous. She won this prize, this award in, I think, 2018. Because of her defense of territory and water. Now she is this popular grassroots Black woman that in such a short time gained a lot of support from the people, from the bases, from the grassroots, and she is now the most possible vice president of Colombia. Now, the bad thing with this is that despite her life experience, she is adopting the discourse of inclusivity. She is the vice president of Gustavo Petro, who is the president candidate that is the less worst, is the, well, we need in Colombia to get the fascism out of government, you know? But they have as a model the Ministry of Equity, el Ministerio de Igualdad in Spain. So they have been like having this model in Spain. I know that if not them, their advisors and the people surrounding them are pushing for the trans law in a similar way that they are doing in Spain. Now, and they are, and even once Francia Marquez, that's her name, she said in a tweet that sex work should be regulated. No, and we know this is like an inherited, easy position that her quote feminist movement, Estamos Listas, that she was a part of. Estamos Listas was this feminist movement that supported her as a president candidate, as a presidential candidate, and didn't get any positions in the Congress, but they were like this easy position, inclusive diversity position that said that trans women are women and sex work is work, you know? And we are pushing, because she's also a victim, we still believe that she can understand, she can reason and understand that these are not identities, these are not work, this sex work is not work, that prostitution is exploitation. But we are afraid that when this government comes to power, comes in office, well, they are going to impose these liberal inclusivity politics. Even opening the official account of the WDI in Colombia is dangerous for us. I'm not in Colombia, so I'm not in that danger so much. But the ones who are there are afraid to talk about that, are ostracized because of our views, and we cannot publicly state our views. And well, we were affected too. I want to talk about the effects of the forum that caused a lot of controversy, and even this organization, Revista Volcánicas, this they have a web page, they have this magazine. It made a video like talking shit about it. Now, this has made a lot of incidents, and they are like behaving completely as a cult. So we are worried, but we have a little hope that more and more people come and speak out and reason a little more. And well, the trafficking situation in Colombia is very troubling because we are at war. This is a country at war, Colombia, and women are being used as a war good. We are being trafficked and violated and killed, and this is becoming very normalized, even more than before. We have in Colombia this association of prostitution survivors, and they recently handed the report to the HEP. HEP is the Jurisdicción Especial para la Paz, the peace jurisdiction for transitional justice. Now we are supposedly ending a war, and we needed this model of just transitional justice. They handed this report, and they are asking this jurisdiction to open a special case for violence and sexual exploitation. And the doors, this is a very hard to accept. They just I don't think they're gonna open the case. They are denied, and the CPI closed the investigation for this very exact exploitation, and the HEP is also refusing to open it till now. Now they don't want to see sexual exploitation as a specific issue to approach. But instead they just see like violence from the guerrilla, violence from the paramilitary, violence from the state. But they didn't, to my knowledge, open this case for sexual exploitation to the normalized prostitution. In the institution, in the legal institution, the idea that prostitution is not violence, is still very, very entrenched. So yeah, we are expecting that to change.